She had secret
3
lie
mornings
loved her
earlier,
father.
Clara was
His
trying
best
on her
friend
wedding
for
dress.
5 years.
She was my dad's fiancée.
On the eve of her dad's
1,000
wedding,
times better than my
he
biological
came back.
mother.
She made her
Suddenly,
move.
a deep
He
voice
resisted
came from the
loyalty
doorway.
and age his
The
walls.
Italian man who'd kept
Then
me
one
awake
night
for
by
5
the
years.
pool, he broke,
Jacob.
and their forbidden flame burned too bright. But her
Good
mother
morning,
forced
everyone.
him to end
Flatlined.
it.
He hadn't aged
And
a
his
day.
ex
The same
twisted
lethal
the knife.
jawline, full
He
lips, and
played
those
the
drowning
villain,
green eyes.
shattering her heart to
A flashback
save
crashed in.
her
I
from
was
a
hiding
crueler
around the
fate.
stairwell,
When the
spying
truth
on him for
exploded,
the first
her
time.
father raged.
I
Yet
fell
in
for
the
him
end,
at first
moved
sight,
by real love, he
experiencing
gave
my
them
very
his
first
blessing.
flutter.
Age, guilt, and fear
that
fell
little
away.
Evelyn?
They finally
You've
stood
grown so
together.
much.
No longer
Still as
hiding,
cute as ever,
loved
little
my
one.
dad's best
I'm
friend
20,
for 5
Jacob.
years.
Not the
Every
little girl
second
hiding
hits
behind you
hard.
anymore. I've grown into a charming young woman, yet he hasn't changed at all.
Is that right? I still see the little girl who blushes so easily.
I fled to my room and locked the door. This unspoken crush had long been hidden deep in my heart, until I saw him. In just one glance, all my feelings burst forth. All next day, I feigned a headache to avoid Jacob. But from the balcony, I only craved stolen glances at that Italian man. I wore a black bikini. Then I saw Gloria, that married bitch, trailing her nails down Jacob's arm. He backed away, but she persisted. I ordered a Negroni, Jacob's favorite. Gloria, how's your husband? She flushed and left. I leaned over and whispered a word in Jacob's ear. Thank me later.
Jacob, you're the only man I trust. Watch over Evelyn. Keep unreliable guys away from her. She's the apple of my eye, my whole world. Rest assured, I'll protect her.
He didn't know his best friend was the very person I wanted closest to me. I took off my robe, revealing my graceful figure, and walked into the swimming pool. His gaze never left me. He raised his glass, staring only at me.
I remember you used to run to your room the second you saw me.
You thought I was scared?
Then what was it?
Shh. I'll keep it a secret for now. My fingertips were burning, not from fire, but from a simple task my dad gave me, to deliver 2 shirts to Jacob's room. I knocked. No answer. The door wasn't locked, so I walked in. Then the bathroom door opened. He stood there with trousers dangling dangerously low on his hips, water droplets tracing his sculpted body. My mind went completely blank. My dad bought matching shirts for the party tomorrow. He wasn't sure about your size, so he got 2 different ones. He pulled on the first one, too small, the sleeves straining against his biceps. He tried to take it off, but the damp fabric was stuck. Let me help you. I stepped closer and grabbed the plecker. I immediately regretted it. I was way too close. Close enough to feel the heat from his skin. Close enough that my breathing went completely uneven. I peeled the shirt off him carefully, my fingers accidentally grazing his abs. He didn't say a word, but I could feel his eyes burning into my face the entire time. Here, try this one.
Okay.
The second one fit perfectly. So this is the one. I should get going. See you, Jacob.
Evelyn.
My feet froze. He walked closer, and I could feel every one of his breaths.
Samuel never changes. So it was you behind all those birthday gifts? You picked them for me?
Yes.
That custom watch. I really liked it. Thank you for putting in the effort to choose those gifts for me.
He gently brushed a strand of my hair behind my ear, and that was it. That single touch set my entire body on fire. You're welcome. I bolted out of the room, blushing fraciously. I heard his low chuckle behind me. He must have seen everything. On the dance floor, Dad and Clara twirled. After Mom left, he endured everything alone, and now he'd finally found happiness.
Hey, Evelyn.
He wore a red shirt with a few buttons undone, drawing admiring gazes from ladies. Hey, handsome. A woman encased in pink plastic rather than a dress approached. Gloria. I must say you look extremely delicious today. Her overly long nail trailed down Jacob's face to his neck. My anger surged. How could this married woman be so shameless? Let's have a dance. You're a fucking married woman, Gloria. Well, can my husband be seen anywhere near?
I am not interested in you.
Now, did you hear him? And as for the dance, he has already promised it to me. I firmly grabbed Jacob's hand and led him to the dance floor, ignoring that despicable woman. His hands on my waist, mine on his chest, but my anger still simmered.
You're a grown man. Learn to protect yourself. This is the second time I've saved you.
What compelled you to come to my rescue not once, but twice?
You should know, considering you seem to be aware of all my secrets.
Sometimes things are better that way.
I should have left you with that bitch.
I stormed away from him, off the dance floor, refusing to spare him another glance. I leaned against the counter, shaking with anger. Jacob followed me.
Look at me.
No. Stay away so I can scrub you out of my head.
You think distance will make you forget? I knew from the day the way you looked at me changed.
You knew?
From the day your eyes started speaking. The way you looked at me changed. I knew the moment you fell for me.
He hoisted me onto the counter, wedging tween my tis. My heart nearly smashed through my ribs.
My restraint doesn't mean I don't want to take you right here. All night. Till you scream.
He leaned in to kiss, and I closed the gap, but he jerked back as if burned.
This isn't right. This'll ruin you. Ruin the brotherhood I have with your father.
You're just scared. A coward.
Yes, I'm afraid of looking into your eyes while betraying the man who trusted me to protect you.
He released me and stepped back, eyes red.
Keep your distance. It ends here.
Fine. Have it your way, Uncle Jacob. My friends finally arrived. Jenny, Nancy, and Marcin.
If I were you, he'd be mine in days. But here you are, still unable to fuck him.
He already kissed me. Wait, he kissed you? I started it, and he kissed me back. Then he changed, saying it was wrong. And he knew all along. I've been obsessed with him.
The beast is out of its cage. It just needs a little provocation.
No! You know how gross playing lovey-dovey stuff with a girl is to me.
It's just acting. No one suspects you're gay.
Fine, I'll do it.
My plan was simple. Let Jacob see Mason's arm around me and drive him crazy. Jacob would sit at the bar, knuckles white around his coffee mug. I laughed loudly, caught Jacob's stare, then looked away. Jacob's gaze burned me from head to toe. I reached for a beer bottle, my dress riding up. His breathing went ragged, loud enough to fill the kitchen.
What do you want?
Beer? For Mason, my boyfriend? Next second, his hands clamped my waist, pulling me back against him. His chest was a furnace.
What are you trying to do?
Plenty of fish in the sea, Uncle Jacob, remember?
Don't play with fire.
What fire? All I see is a coward. You're not my father. You're not my boyfriend. You have no right. You've always been great at ignoring me, so keep doing that.
Were you thinking of him or me when you masturbated last night? Who do you steal glances at, him or me? Whose touch makes you shiver, his or mine? Answer me.
You can't change, Jacob. I need someone who isn't such a coward. Like Mason. Excuse me. I pushed him away and walked out without looking back. His stare burned into my back. The beast was finally out of its cage. He dropped. He came up, something new glowing in his eyes. Pulled him down and kissed him. This was everything I'd ever craved.
Your beast is out.
He gripped my hair, truly went deep down my throat. No pain, only pleasure. Tears gathered at the corners of my eyes, but not from pain. Finally, he groaned, releasing inside my mouth. I swallowed everything.
You were amazing.
Hours later, showered and changed, I sat astride Jacob, tracing the mesmerizing artwork, his tattoos. You didn't have so many tattoos 5 years ago.
Collected them over the years.
This moon looks weird, almost like a C. Someone's initial? He stiffened, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. He suddenly changed the subject.
How did your interest shift from me to Mason?
Mason's gay. The whole charade was to expose you. Let the wolf shed his sheep. I walked downstairs and saw Gloria sitting next to Jacob, chatting. My stomach twisted immediately.
Evelyn, come over here.
Gloria's eyes were practically licking his tattoos. I couldn't stay another second. I lost my appetite.
Evelyn, sit down. Let's see what we can do to improve your mood.
He patted the chair to his left, and my body moved before my brain caught up.
That was surprising. You actually listened to Jacob.
Everyone got absorbed. Suddenly, a hand rested on my thigh, fingers grazing my skin under the table. Gloria's phone rang, and she stepped away to answer it. Jacob moved his chair closer.
Tell me, what made you so angry?
You act like you know nothing.
I only talked to her briefly. It wouldn't have looked right to ignore her.
I'm done. I've had enough. I'm going to my room. I paced my room, flinging myself on the bed, then bouncing up. Then, violent knocking. I opened the door and gasped. It was Jacob. He pushed me inside and slammed the door. Fury made his green eyes burn brighter. Damn it. That only made him sexier. What are you—
Do you know how hard it was to slip away? To avoid suspicion? Just to deal with your stubborn attitude?
He lifted me by the thighs and threw me onto the bed, his body hovering over mine, his hips pressed against me, hands locking my wrists above, his burge pressed against my wetness. I was helpless, but I kind of liked it. You ruined my mood talking to that bitch.
I just didn't want a scene. Who'd be interested in her?
Even if she gave you the best blowjob of your life?
You'd have no interest?
No. I'd rather have your lips around me. Nothing is more interesting than you. I find everything in you, all at once.
His lips trailed my jaw and neck, hands pinning me down firmly. My body melted, but my mouth refused to surrender. Make up for your mistake. You upset me.
Okay. Tell me, what do you want?
Take me on a long drive tonight. I tiptoed out. Jacob's car was waiting, headlights on. Didn't expect you to be so punctual.
Punctuality matters. Otherwise, accidents happen.
Accidents? I unbuckled, said nothing, and climbed onto his pap, his one hand around my waist, the other on the wheel, much better than the passenger seat. You're cute.
Cute. That's not a compliment a man likes.
What do you prefer then? Dog? Cat?
Are you fucking kidding me?
I burst out laughing. His expression was priceless. No one else could rile up a grown man so easily. You're right, none of those fit. You're wild, reckless. Tiger suits you. And I'd love to let this beast ravish me. A growl rumbled in his chest. He grabbed my hair, lips crashing upon mine, tongue invading. The car sped, but I wasn't afraid. His touch, his scent, drove me wild.
If I really cared about safe, you wouldn't be here with me.
Waves brushed our feet. Stars filled the sky. Jacob lay beside me, our fingers intertwined. How many relationships have you had?
Not many. Never wanted anything long-term.
So you're not married?
You fall in love, expectations grow, you circle each other, and then the love fades. It's all temporary. A trap.
His words held depths I hadn't touched. I pressed my forehead to his. Love failing once doesn't mean it always will. My dad lost Mom, but look at him now. He's marrying Clara and he's happy. Does love make your life complicated, or does it just scare you? He stayed silent, but in that soft sigh, I found my answer. It was love. Have you loved? Don't answer now. Answer when you're ready. His body tensed visibly. I kissed him softly, then straddled him, placing his hands on my hips. We don't know how long this lasts. Maybe after my father's wedding, we won't see each other.
But until then, just us. No other women. Just you and me.
I'm yours, as long as you want. No other woman. Only you.
Clara was making pancakes. I couldn't help asking about Jacob's past.
Clara, was Jacob ever heartbroken? Heard from your dad he had a serious one. It ended badly, and he never pursued another one.
At breakfast, our secret sat heavy on my tongue. Dad knew nothing.
You're glowing today. Is there a man?
Maybe. The hot and handsome kind. Jacob sat across from me, a smirk tugging at his lips. Beneath the table, his knee pressed against mine.
Is he good enough for my daughter?
You know him. And you trust him completely.
I trust no one but Jacob.
Jacob's throat bobbed. His glass froze at his lips.
Bring him over sometime. I'll vet him.
He's afraid you'd crumble if you discovered the truth.
Only if he betrayed me.
Jacob set his glass down. Beneath the tablecloth, his knee was still pressed against mine. The pressure suddenly deepened, then quickly eased. Dad stood to take a call.
He'd never forgive me. Neither would anyone else.
I don't need anyone else. I just need this moment.
But if he ever finds out,
He'd lose his mind. But I can't bring myself to care. I hooked my ankle around his calf under the table. He didn't pull away. Dad returned, and I let go. Heart hammering. Deep night. The house drowned in darkness. I slipped barefoot into Jacob's room, shoved him onto the bed, and straddled him. Enjoyed Dad interrogating me this morning?
Couldn't help it. What if you'd blurted out the truth right there?
He'd have flipped the table, then punched you in the face.
a punch would be mercy. He trusted me to protect you, and
you let me ride you instead.
His throat bobbed. In those green eyes, lust and guilt were at war.
He'd crumble. My brother, for life, would despise me to the core. No one will ever bless us.
I don't need blessings. I just need this moment. You inside me, and I'm afraid of nothing. He flipped me over and pinned me down. Every wall crumbled. He slapped my butt, pulling me tighter. The release hit like a destructive wave.
You're so fragile. I need a moment to cool down.
I stopped him. I flipped him onto his back. No need for a cold shower. My mouth can do wonders.